There's myriad players we could mention in this regard where someone comes up, they are so highly touted, they don't start well, you give them an opportunity, you give them an opportunity, you give them an opportunity to turn it around, and then you finally have to swallow hard. And then you bring up a guy who is Kevin Moss-like. There's an old Yankee reference for you. Comes up, he's hitting home runs. This is insane. And then all of a sudden, off the cliff. Volpe, you see, is the type, when he was brought up and had success, there was a lot of chest pounding. But now what do you do with him? Well, you can move him to ninth in the lineup if you want. Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman did that. That's fine. You can have him hit seventh or eighth, which he's been doing sort of the majority of the season. That's fine. But the reality is that he's one of the worst qualifying hitters. But man, his defense is so good that we're good. We don't need to get offense from Volpe. We just need to get that Gold Glove defense, because getting the Gold Glove defense, you can win a World Series with that. And then you turn around and realize that his defense is absolutely horrific. So not only is he the fifth worst in MLB among qualified hitters, but he also has the MLB lead in errors at shortstop. So I'm trying to figure out what Volpe's doing well. He's not hitting. He's not fielding. A leader in the clubhouse? I'm not in the clubhouse. Let's even pretend he is. When you've got the pressure to win the way the Yankees have pressure to win right now, being a leader in the clubhouse is incidental at best. You don't care. We talk about what it is to have bad people in the clubhouse and bad people who perform, and you just get through it when you need to win, when you're under pressure to win. But if you've got a bad person in the clubhouse and you're losing, that's when you can make some changes. And I'm certainly not saying Volpe's a bad guy at all. What a great story. Yankee fan, Yankee games, World Series games. Now he's the shortstop. It was the greatest story ever. Why is it that Aaron Boone goes on the Talking Yanks podcast and literally loses his mind? And this comes only a few weeks after the general manager doubled down on Volpe. Remember, we showed you video. We talked to you about Cashman. Hey, Volpe, he's our shortstop. Despite the twists and turns of the season and how it's currently playing out, there's a lot of season left to be played. I'm not counting him out. That's Cashman. Well, newsflash, we are getting close to being early late. We're not there yet. We're now late middle. But late middle is going to end soon. The teams have played over 100 games, and it's soon going to be early late. We are now, once you get to 100 games played, you know you're approaching the deadline. It's going to be really hard for a team to all of a sudden turn it on right now. It's happened, but it's going to be really hard. It's really hard for a player to turn it on right now. It's happened, but it's rare. So Aaron Boone, when you are going on these podcasts, and he goes on, remember that the Talking Yanks podcast, don't forget that there's now a relationship between baseball and Jomboy. It's hard to say no. The managers get paid to go on certain shows. I do not know whether Boone is paid to go on Jomboy, though I would not be surprised at all if he is, especially if it's weekly coca, then it certainly is a paid appearance. But he went out of his way to do the old bait and switch, which is a very popular thing to do in an argument, is when you know you've got the wrong side of an argument, what you do is you fight something else. And you try to bring the distraction, you try to bring the attention of the people you're arguing with against the issue that you're arguing because you know you have a losing position. In the legal profession, what they say is if you don't have the facts on your side, argue the law. If you don't have the law on your side, argue the facts. And if you have neither on your side, just argue loudly right before settling. What I didn't like about what Boone was doing is that the players, they pay attention. So word gets in, they're all on Twitter. or there's videos that play, or agents are talking to players, or players are talking to players, or an agent will call a player who's not Volpe and say, hey, here's what's going on. And then that player will talk to Volpe about it. This kind of stuff happens. It's like a sewing circle inside every clubhouse. And when Boone was asked, not just about Volpe, but he was just asked about the Yankees in general, he looked panicked to me. He looked as though that he was on the edge of extinction, knowing what he had to get done this season. But what got lost, if you see the tape, what got lost is when asked about players and caring. I want to give you the information about a false sense that the media and fans have. When a player is 0 for 10 and then they hit a ground ball that they hit sharply, but it's hit right at somebody, and they're running up to first base, they touch first base, they're out, and then they slam their helmet down and break it. Or when a hitter strikes out and takes the bat like a toothpick and cracks the bat over their thigh, it gets attention. It's fun to watch. It's cool. It looks like the player is invested and caring. Unfortunately, when a player is 0 for 20 and just hits the ball hard and makes an out and then runs back to the dugout, sits down, gloves off, eats the same chicken he eats before every game, does the same routine, and does another 0 for 10, God, it looks like that guy's slow twitching. It looks like that guy doesn't care. Boone got this right. That is completely incorrect. There is no correlation between the public antics that you see on the field with the frustration of a player and whether or not that player cares. When we're looking at young players and deciding whether we want to send them out, or veterans, do we want to release them, and we look at a player's behavior on the field, we're measuring it against our view and what we know about that player. Has that player changed? Did that player used to throw his helmet down and now he doesn't throw the helmet down? Did the player never throw the helmet down and now he always throws the helmet down? You have to know the history of the player. You have to live with the player to understand how they're handling the slump. But what fans do is they say, hey, that means they care. The outward pouring, the outward show of emotion means they care. And what Boone was saying is not the case. And the problem is that the way he delivered it was in a very defensive way, really being accusatory with the Jomboy hosts. And I just found it to be that he had the right story. He had the right facts, and he forgot to embrace them. Because if you deliver your argument calmly, if you just say matter-of-factly, listen, it may look like a player cares more when they dive into home plate, or it may look like a player cares more when they break their bat over their thigh. We never even pay attention to that because we got a bunch of players who care a lot who don't do anything that you may see, but we know very much that they're despondent. And by the way, the players who you think care, they're really caring about their contract, or they're caring about their personal performance, not the team's performance. All of these things are looked at by a front office. But if you're sending Boone out to do PR right now, and you're the Yankees, and they did win last night, but they still, winning the series in Toronto would be great. You'd pick up a game. Losing the series, you lose a game. You want to avoid the sweep, but you really want to sweep to get yourself back on top of the division, or at least tied. You are going to see the cauldron boil over the next period of 9 days. The pressure on Brian Cashman to make a trade before the 31st to improve his team is so significant that if I am still in baseball and working with the GM, I am wanting Cashman to pay through the nose. I want to overcharge the Yankees in a way that we'll sit in a room and say, yeah, you think they need bullpen help? Hey, we're Arizona. You think you need corner help? You think you're getting Suarez? Let me tell you, it's going to hurt